Today we're going to talk about the fears of trying something new and when imposter syndrome is getting the best of you. And this is going to be especially prevalent if you're an energy healer or a coach who wants to put together your own group coaching program, because that's a lens in which I'm going to speak through, and the anxiety that brought me. But one day I was like, you know what? I want to put together something new, okay? Because I do that every so often and periodically. If you know me, I'm like, okay, all these things that I've been doing, we got to make it fresh. And so I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And Spirit really came through and was like, how about we put together a course for people about how to connect to their Akashic records and how to become an inner child healer, because that's the foundational framework of everything that I do is inner child healing, because that's the root of most everything. Behavioral patterns, triggers, tapping into your magic, healing yourself. It all usually stems back from childhood. And then also accessing these higher planes of consciousness and different frequencies and dimensions, and opening up and expanding your spiritual gifts. And a way that you can do that is through your Akashic records, and a way that you can connect to your Akashic records is healing your inner children. And I have so many people ask me constantly, how do you do these things? Like the healing modalities that I offer. And so I was like, you know what, it's time. And in the past, that has brought me a lot of anxiety, because, imposter syndrome is saying like, well, what if it's not enough? What if, just all the what ifs that come with these things. And I have gotten really good at just saying, you know what, I'm just going to show up. It's better to show up messy than not at all. Okay. But my controlling behavior sometimes are like, no, it's got to be perfect, and it's got to be so intentional, and it's got to be set up in a certain way. And that's what was tripping me up this time. So I made an email marketing list and put it out, and I was like, hey, if anybody's interested in this quantum evolution program that I want to put together, this is where you can subscribe to stay updated. And I had almost 200 people immediately subscribe. And so I was like, okay, well, obviously there's a need for this, a want for this in the collective. And then I didn't do anything with it. It just sat there. And I was like racking my brain day after day of, I just want this to be so intentional, and what space am I even supposed to talk from, because everybody's on different consciousness levels, everybody's on different journeys. I'm not the all-knowing. Like, I can just explain, these are my experiences that I've had with myself and with clients, and I can give you a framework, but it's not necessarily an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, because everybody also has different spiritual gifts and different ways that they receive downloads and communicate. Just, we're all individual, like, beautiful snowflakes. So how do I speak to everybody as a collective with these things in mind? I was almost tricking myself. Okay, saying like, oh, I want to be so intentional, but it was actually just imposter syndrome and not fully believing in my teaching abilities. And that doesn't even make sense, because I teach all the time, and I've run group programs beforehand, but this is a little bit different, because the group program that I was running prior was more about how to start your spiritual business, and this is more talking about esoteric understandings and concepts, and how to heal yourself and how to reach higher levels of consciousness. One of the things is, why do I want to do this? I wanted to be very clear on the energetic foundations. And finally, my higher self got like so fed up. It was like, if you don't just do this, and I actually had a meeting with one of my friends, Kiki, if you're watching, shout out to you, love you. And she's putting together her own group coaching program, and we ended up workshopping together. And I was like, you know what, I need to just put a date on it. If I put a date on it, I will show up and I will get it done. Otherwise, it's just like this elusive thing that's never going to happen. And so I said, this is it. It's going to be February 1st. That started giving me more anxiety, because I was like, well, I don't have anything like put together. And I was like, okay, we need to take a breath. We are safe. This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be magical. We want to make sure that that's conveyed. Like, if you build something with stress and anxiety and fear, that's what people are going to perceive from it. I said, we need to reset the energetics here. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on a walk, an hour walk, and I'm just going to be with my own thoughts, and we're going to flush it out. And so I'm walking, and I was like, why do I want to do this? And I was thinking back over my journey, and I said, you know what? I wish that there had been a framework that would thoroughly explain how your central nervous system and the Akashic records and soul contracts and karmic lessons and chakras and inner child healing and processing your emotions, how all of those things are interconnected together. Because I spent so much time and so many years learning how those things web together. And if I had had a framework, I could have saved myself a lot of time and energy and been at a more almost like accelerated pace. That wasn't my journey though. My journey, I needed to learn all those things so that I could teach other people, right? And why they're correlated with one another. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like I spent so much time and energy healing myself and having these levels of understanding to get myself to these places. And then I started crying because I was like, wow, I really am amazing. Like I hadn't sat down for a long time and seen the totality of what I had done within myself. And so even just that part really helped solidify my confidence and my self-worth, and that how needed that this is for so many people. Higher self was like, you're getting so caught up in like the minutiae of things, because I'm sitting here like, oh, am I supposed to be talking to teachers, like to teach people? Am I supposed to be talking to students that like are just learning about the records and inner child healing, or people that are like way in their journey? And she was like, it's for everybody, and they're going to perceive it how they're going to perceive it. Like some people, this is their first time hearing about these concepts. Maybe it is like a really far reach for somebody who just like started on their spiritual awakening journey, but that gives them something to reach up to. Just like for me, when I was learning these concepts, I didn't understand them, but I had to continue to learn and grow and reach higher in order to pull myself up with my skill set. And then also sometimes I watch things that I am above in concept and consciousness, but I'm doing it because I'm doing it through a teacher lens. I'm like, oh, how is this person's framework? How are they delivering it to their community and their collective? And my higher self's like, it's going to be the exact same thing. You're going to have people for both reasons in this course. And then I had an idea. How about I ask my inner children their advice? How about I ask my past versions, like in my 20s, and my higher self? And actually, let me ask my physical body, my spiritual body, my emotional body, and my mental body what they think about everything. And ask my intuition. So we're going to go through those. So I asked my inner children, and they're like, make it fun, make it colorful, make it whimsical. And I was like, you know what? That's excellent advice, because that's what it's supposed to be. This is what magic is supposed to be. It's supposed to be imaginative and creative and lighthearted and fun, not this super serious like business thing. I asked my inner teens, and they're like, oh, we want you to be like a super boss babe and teach people what that means and how to embody that, whether you're male or female. Okay. Because that's what I wanted to be when I was younger, is like this super successful, just radiant, like carrying myself with like grace and just like strong female energy, right? Or feminine energy, if you will. And they're like, that's what we want to share with everybody. And then I asked my past versions in my 20s, and they said empowerment. We want to teach people how to empower themselves, no matter what like skills they bring to the table, how they want to be helping in the collective, that everybody has a place and space, and that they can offer their gifts and abilities. That's my intuition, and my intuition said, better show up messy than not show up at all. And I said, oh, you're right. And then I was asking my higher self, and I was asking my higher self as the higher self that has already put the program together. And she was like, oh, you should make it like an academy, and these are the type of pictures that you should use and the way that you should talk, like the framework in which you're delivering this. And speaking of my higher self that's already done this, I was like, I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be. I can literally sit down and channel from that version of myself out in the cosmos, the ether is a quantum field that has already been there, done that, taught this, and just directly download it. And it doesn't have to be this big, scary, anxiety-filled situation. I wanted to share these things in case you're working on similar things and healing and growing through them. It's really beneficial to know that you're not alone, and that everybody experiences this, and we can always continue to work on trusting ourselves and our well of wisdom and knowledge, and channeling self, accessing these different parts to give you the answers and the guidance that you need to implement these things and to build these programs. I'm going to check out this awesome program. It's called the Quantum Evolution Academy, and you can go to my profile and check the comments or the description box below.